Beneath the grand chandeliers and endless stone corridors of Windsor Castle, a tempest had been gathering. For months, tension rippled beneath the surface of royal life like an unseen current, pulling King Charles III and Queen Camilla further and further apart. Yet, few within the palace truly believed that their love, a love that had survived decades of scandal, heartbreak, and public scrutiny, could fracture beyond repair. But on one fateful evening, the inevitable rupture arrived, unleashing a storm of emotion so fierce it seemed to shake the very foundations of the monarchy. The fallout from their confrontation sent shockwaves through the royal household, dividing loyalties, destabilizing the monarchy's fragile post-Elizabethan footing, and leaving the once unshakable bond between the king and queen consort in ruins. Theirs had always been a love story that defied convention, a romance born of passion and persistence, forged in the fires of adversity. Yet, the weight of the crown had proven heavier than either of them had anticipated. And as the echoes of their final argument faded into the castle's ancient stone walls, it became painfully clear, this was not just the unraveling of a marriage, but a seismic shift that could alter the future of the British monarchy itself. To understand the magnitude of this fracture, one must return to the very roots of Charles and Camilla's relationship, a love affair that had begun decades earlier, long before duty and destiny tore them apart and then stitched them back together. Charles met Camilla Shand in the early 1970s, their connection immediate and undeniable. They shared a love of literature, a reverence for nature, and a rare ease in each other's presence that Charles, even as a young prince, found elusive in most social interactions. Yet, the weight of royal expectation loomed over them from the beginning. Camilla, seen by royal courtiers as lacking the suitability required of a future queen, was quietly edged out of Charles's life, paving the way for his ill-fated marriage to Lady Diana Spencer. The years that followed were marked by agony and scandal. Charles and Diana's tumultuous marriage unraveled in the harsh glare of the public eye, while his enduring love for Camilla became one of the most infamous royal sagas of the 20th century. It was a story of longing and forbidden love, one that cost Charles the public's trust and plunged Camilla into years of relentless public vilification. Yet, against all odds, they endured. In 2005, after years of careful rehabilitation, they finally married, a quiet ceremony that marked not just the fulfillment of their love story, but their shared victory against decades of opposition. Camilla became Charles's rock, his most trusted confidant, helping him navigate the turbulent waters of public life. And when Queen Elizabeth II passed, ushering Charles onto the throne after a lifetime of waiting, it seemed as though their love had finally conquered every obstacle. But the crown, as history has shown time and again, is an unforgiving burden. And the pressures of kingship would soon test their relationship in ways neither had foreseen. The rise of conflict, a queen consort's growing independence. From the earliest days of Charles's reign, palace insiders began to notice subtle shifts in the couple's dynamic. The transition from prince and duchess to king and queen brought with it not just heightened public scrutiny, but an intensification of the rigid protocols that governed their every move. Camilla, who had always preferred a softer, more human approach to her public role, struggled with the constraints imposed upon her. While Charles clung to tradition, believing the monarchy's survival depended on its ability to project stability, Camilla increasingly pushed for modernity, advocating for a more open, approachable royal presence. She began making solo public appearances without consulting the palace's communications team. She gave candid interviews, expressing her views on causes close to her heart with a frankness that alarmed senior advisors. Her growing confidence and willingness to break from tradition, while admired by the public, created mounting tension behind palace walls. For Charles, who had spent his entire life preparing for the throne, Camilla's independence felt like a disruption to the carefully balanced structure he was desperately trying to preserve. The king, already grappling with the colossal pressure of succeeding a monarch as beloved as Elizabeth II, began to see Camilla's defiance not as an act of personal growth, but as a destabilizing force within the institution he had sworn to protect. The couple's arguments, once rare and easily resolved, became more frequent. Courtiers reported whispered disagreements behind closed doors and moments of visible tension during public engagements. Yet, no one anticipated just how deeply the fractures had spread until the night it all came crashing down. The confrontation reportedly erupted late one evening, in a private sitting room adorned with centuries-old tapestries and portraits of monarchs long past. Charles, weary and visibly strained, questioned Camilla about her recent solo engagements. What began as a quiet conversation quickly escalated, with Charles's voice rising as he accused her of undermining the monarchy's carefully cultivated image. Camilla, never one to cower, stood her ground. She argued that she had spent decades enduring public humiliation for their love, sacrificing her privacy and personal peace for the sake of the crown. Now that she had finally gained public respect, she refused to become a silent figurehead. Witnesses described Charles, in an uncharacteristic display of fury, rising to his feet, his face flushed with anguish. His voice echoed through the room as he accused Camilla of betraying his trust and weakening the institution he had dedicated his entire life to defending. But it was when he demanded the return of her engagement ring, the Queen Mother's ring, a family heirloom rich with historical weight, that the full gravity of the moment became painfully clear. Camilla, eyes filled with quiet devastation, removed the ring without a word. She placed it on an antique mahogany table, the dull clink of metal against wood reverberating through the room like a death knell for their marriage. Within the hour, she was gone. The fallout, a monarchy on the brink. Camilla's departure sent tremors through the palace. Staff members wept openly. Emergency meetings were convened to manage the fallout, but the news leaked to the press within days. Prince William and Princess Catherine were reportedly devastated, with William expressing deep concern for his father's emotional well-being. Meanwhile, Camilla retreated to Ray Mill House, her private sanctuary in Wiltshire, where she was said to be processing her heartbreak in solitude. The monarchy, already fragile in the wake of Elizabeth II's passing, now faced an even greater crisis: a fractured royal marriage, a divided public, and a looming question mark over the future of the crown. What happens next? Whether Charles and Camilla can find their way back to one another remains uncertain. Some insiders suggest reconciliation is possible, while others believe the return of the engagement ring marked a final, irreversible break. One truth, however, is undeniable: the monarchy is at a crossroads. And as history has shown, it is not love or personal happiness that determines its survival, but duty, sacrifice, and an unyielding commitment to the institution itself. For now, Windsor Castle stands quiet, its ancient walls holding the echoes of a love story that may have finally reached its tragic conclusion. And the world waits, watching, as it always has, to see whether the crown can weather yet another storm. If this glimpse into the palace's hidden heartbreak captivated you, subscribe for more royal revelations. Because behind every tiara lies a tale of love, loss, and the relentless weight of destiny.